Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to math. Today, we're just solving for equations. Okay, we probably need a little bit of break from creating all these other equations. All you have to do today, simple, solve for x. Okay, the way we're gonna do these kind of equations, though, they have a radical. Okay, the rule states that always move everything outside the radical first. Okay. Then once you move everything out, you can focus on the actual radical. So, let's work on this problem. We have 12 plus radical of 2x minus 1 equals 4. Okay? Again, there's a 12 outside the radical that we need to get rid of first before moving anything inside the radical. Notice that there's nothing up in the front of the 12. That means that it's a positive 12. Okay? If we want to move it to the other side, because remember we're solving for x, we have to get rid of that 12. If it's positive, it becomes the opposite of positive, which in this case is negative. So we have negative 12. Cancels out. Remember, whatever you do on one side, you have to do to the other. Remember, that balancing. So negative 12, that leaves us with what we wanted to actually leave us with, which is everything just in the radical. So we have radical. You really don't need to focus on that positive 1, because anything times 1 is just itself when it's positive. Okay? So since it's positive, we really don't have to worry about it. Just leave the 2x minus 1 equals 4 minus 12. Let's see. We know the answer is negative because the bigger number is negative. Okay? So we know the answer is going to be negative. 12 subtract 4. That leaves us with 8, right? So that leaves us with 8, negative 8 in this case. Once we have that, now we can get rid of that radical. Okay? This is one of the new rules for you guys. Okay? The rule is the opposite of a radical is a square. Okay? And vice versa. The opposite of a square. So if you have a square, a number with the square becomes radical and the number on the other side. Okay? If you have a radical with the number, it becomes number squared. So in this case, and we're going to try to get rid of this radical, because remember, the x is on the inside. The opposite is square. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. The square and the radical cancel out. We're left with 2x minus 1 equals negative 8 squared. Okay? Negative 8 squared, that's another way of saying negative 8 times negative 8, right? So we have negative 8 times negative 8 is positive, because negative times negative is positive 64. Now that we have 64, we can actually solve this a lot easier. Now that we have no radical, remember, you cannot move the x first. You have to move the 1. So plus 1, because it's negative, the opposite is positive. Whatever you do to one side, again, is on the other side. So plus 1. So 2x equals 65. And then finally, we're trying to solve for x. We divide, because remember, the opposite of multiplication is division. So we divide by 2. So therefore, x equals half of 65, which in this case is, sorry about that, guys. Half of 65 is, you guys know what half of 65 is? Hint, hints. If you don't know what half is, you can always round this to 60. For now, half of 60 is 30. Then you have a 5 you need to cut in half. So half of 5 is 2.5. You already have 30 plus 2.5 is 32.5. So your answer is 32.5. And that's it. We're done. We solved for x. Simple, right? That's all we're doing. Make sure you write it down on your notes. Make sure you send a picture of your notes when you send your work in. Alright, so very, very simple, right? All we're doing is solving for x. Beats doing all those complicated concepts we've been working on lately. Alright, so here is your assignment for today, okay? So let's take a little trip to this other board over here. Alright, your assignment for today is you have 8 plus radical x plus 1 equals 2. And you also have 10 minus radical 2x equals 5. Okay? So you have 2 problems to solve for. Okay? Make sure you send me your answers. Make sure you send also a picture of your notes. Okay? And I'll be waiting for your email.